GloriaHasTheBuyers.com. That's GloriaHasTheBuyers.com.
Gloria and seller must agree on price and possession date.
This is the Verizon Extra Innings Show. Verizon, the most reliable 5G in St. Louis.
The 2-2 pitch. That is grounded slowly to the shortstop. Flipped to second, and just out at second base, Wilson Contreras. This ball game has come to an end. Bogarts to Iglesias, 6-4 on the force play on Contreras coming down. And the Cardinals have dropped a 3-1 decision to San Diego.
That's how it finished. Welcome into the Extra Innings Show. I'm Joe Pott. The Extra Innings Show is presented by Gray Bar. Gray Bar, your distributor for electrical and datacom needs. If you want to get in, you can do so. We are live from Busch Stadium, and you can just jump right on the socials. YouTube, X, Facebook. We are live right there, and you can drop the comments. I can see them. Or if you want to get in the old-fashioned way, 314-436-7900, and we can talk about this one. Really, I don't think there's anything that is, terribly striking about tonight's game. It was a game that you dropped 3-1. It was the third in 4 games in this series, and as you heard, and as we talked about on the network show, it was a game where the Cardinals played some really good defense tonight, and they kept themselves in this game with some really good defense. They were out hit again by the Padres. They have all 3 games in this series, but they've won those first 2 games in this series. Tonight, they just come up a little bit short, and it wasn't even that they were having trouble bringing guys around because they only had a few opportunities with runners in scoring position tonight. In fact, the Cardinals went 0 for 1 with runners in scoring position tonight, so they didn't even have a ton of opportunities. So it was 3 hits, and that was it. They did get on a couple of times with hit batters, just a couple of walks in this game, just a kind of one of those nights, and I don't think that there's anything, again, striking about this, and you still have the chance to put yourselves in the place to have a series win. You can do that with a win tomorrow afternoon. You've got Michael McGreevy on the mound. You feel good about Michael McGreevy going for the Redbirds tomorrow. He's up against the righty Stephen Kolek. So it feels like this is certainly not doomsday. And look, we've had much worse that we've been chatting about over the last couple of weeks. When I was here a week ago, we were talking about this team getting swept by the Arizona Diamondbacks, and then they would go into Colorado and drop 2 of 3 to Colorado. So then to come back home, where granted they have played well, but to come back home and kind of reset, get off to a good start in this series against the Padres, you just drop a close game here tonight. So nothing major, I think, that stands out on this. Don is on the line. Let's get Don in on the Extra Innings Show. Welcome to KMOX.
Hi, Joe. How you doing?
Doing well.
Yeah, I watch this game like I always do, and the problem I see with this Cardinal team, they have no offense. They had 5 hits last night. They were lucky to win the game last night, but tonight they only had 3 hits. And I personally think, Joe, they have to go out and get a couple of right-handed bats because this team lacks offense. And Victor Scott's got a lot to learn in center field. He messed up out in center field. I wish somebody would be able to challenge him for that spot in that lineup because basically he's not doing his job out there. And like I said, and here's another comment on Arenado. I'm a big Arenado fan, but the guy's not going to hit. Let's face it. I think he's done. And with the Yankees going out and getting McMahon, that tells you right there they weren't interested in Arenado. So I'd be shocked if he's moved at the deadline. I'll stay on the line and listen to your comments.
Okay, Don, I appreciate it. Yeah, I mean, I know what you're saying as far as looking for right-handed bats. The thing that I would say that the challenge I'd get back to you, and I think I said this last week, is I wonder about, I think ultimately we've got to decide where are the priorities, right? Are the priorities to get into the playoffs? Because certainly there's a chance that this team can get as a wild card. But I don't know that this is a team set up to win a playoff series. Maybe you have a chance at a 5-game series because a lot of things can happen, but I don't know if a 7-game series, if it's really structured to do that. So I think if this team's going to be doing acquiring, and it's probably going to be doing acquiring via selling, right? You're going to maybe let go of some of those veterans in the bullpen, and I don't know who else they're listening on, but the idea is acquiring for the future. I don't think that you're out there looking for a right-handed bat just to maybe sneak in the wild card. That's kind of where I sit on that.
Yeah, Joe, you make an excellent point there. And like I said, Arenado's skills as a hitter, I think, is diminished. It's kind of hard to believe he's 34 years old and he can't hit a lick. And you got too many holes in that lineup. That's the reason why I said maybe going out and acquiring right-handed bats. But your point was made excellent. And like I said, if they're going to make a deal, they get something for the future. And I agree heartily in what you just said.
Yeah, Don, I appreciate the call, and I don't disagree with you, because this is definitely a lineup that lacks any kind of punch right now at all. I've said this too. I think when this lineup is at its best and when this lineup is performing, it is more often going to single you to death. They're going to be relentless as opposed to really having someone up there with any kind of punch. And I know Herrera can. He has been. It's been much less since coming off the injured list than it was in the beginning of the year. But yes, they could use some punch, but I hope ultimately that if this team is doing some acquiring, that is acquiring for the future. But I appreciate you giving us a call, Don.
And I know Herrera can. It's been.
All right, that was Don with us here on the Extra Innings Show. If you want to get in like he did, 314-436-7900, and we can chat about this Cardinals team, what you saw. Look, I said this, I think I said this maybe on the beginning of the pregame show or maybe in our little segment before the pregame show, but I think one of the things about this team, and I know I addressed this last weekend, is that it is so inconsistent. And it is a team that you look and you say, man, they're really rolling. They've got a great chance. They're going to be a really good team, like we were all talking about on the 29th, right? On June 29th, they were 9 up over the 500 mark. They were 2.5 out, and everybody was feeling good. I was feeling good. And then they lose to the Pirates, and then it was a tough road trip. And that's the way things have gone this year. When you look and you think, man, they're down and out, they bounce back and they win the first 2 against the Padres. When you look and you think things are really going good, they're going to get on a roll, then they hit a speed bump. And I think it's that inconsistency that really kind of separates this team from the top of the National League and ultimately the top of baseball. Jeremy puts a comment here, and I don't know who he was referring to. He said, is he really a true power hitter, though? Just wondering. And I don't know, Jeremy, who you are referring to when you're talking about a true power hitter. Justin also in on the comments tonight. They could get in as a wild card, but look at the schedule in August. The lineup needs to do a better job of getting hits. Yeah, Justin, I understand what you're saying there. My point is, if they get in as a wild card, is that good enough? Because that's, I don't think, what ultimately is the goal. I think ultimately the goal is National League champion, World Series champion. Like, that's where you're striving to be. And I think that if that is your ultimate goal at whatever point, I think that the acquisitions then need to be to set up this team for long-term success, not to set up this team to get in as a wild card. That is the way that I look at it. Jeremy was talking about Ivan Herrera. Is he a true power hitter? Yeah, I think he's shown some flashes. I don't know yet if he is a true power hitter. My point simply was that he could provide some punch in the lineup. He just hasn't done a lot of it since coming off the injured list. Sam says, why can't the Cards suicide squeeze like the Padres did in the 4th inning? It's not that they can't. They have in the past. They don't as much, but I think when there are opportunities, yeah, I think they should. I think that it's obviously something. Padres did a great job today moving some runners around with the bunt. They get that one in the 4th inning that that brings in that 4th run, and they had at least another one. They had a sacrifice in the 1st to move a runner. So yeah, they did a nice job at it. There's no question about it. Let's take a break here on the Extra Innings Show. We'll come back. We'll continue with your calls and your comments. Maybe let you hear a little bit from Jordan Walker. We've got some of him from the post-game media that the Cardinals did, of course, that they were in the locker room. So we've got a little bit of Jordan Walker we can hear from, and we'll continue with your comments, your calls, if you've got them. I'm Joe Pott. It's the Extra Innings Show. We're coming back on KMOX.
Hey, facility managers. At Graybar, we're not just one of the largest distributors of electrical and datacom parts in North America. We're your connection to help make your buildings smarter. We work with best-in-class manufacturers to supply products for wireless, security, renewable energy, lighting, and critical power solutions. And we have a network of integrators nationwide that can help make it work all together. So, the next time you're thinking about making your building smarter, think Graybar, and we'll help you get connected. Visit graybar.com/connected buildings to learn more.
There's a big red barn where you save green. Norm's Bargain Barn. Discount windows, doors, and things. Norm's Bargain Barn.
Hi, I'm Norm Wilkie. Come see my new selection of Amish cabinetry made by my good Amish friends at Countrywood Products. We now stock 5 styles of cabinetry for you to choose from.
When you need to save on discount windows, doors, and cabinetry, come to Norm's Bargain Barn. With locations in Shiloh and Fenton at the bottom of Gravois Bluffs. Visit normsbargainbarn.com.
That's normsbargainbarn.com.
At Sandberg Phoenix, we are more than just a law firm. Our attorneys are committed to you, your business, and your community. From startups to established businesses to estate plans, we are ready to serve you in the areas of business litigation, intellectual property, health law, and products liability. With offices in Missouri and Illinois, you can conveniently visit us today at sandbergphoenix.com. That's sandbergphoenix.com. The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertising.
You might know Graybar for cable and connectivity. But there's one more thing you should know us for that can help optimize your project's total value, like our comprehensive electronic solutions for security, AV, wireless, and networking, or our specialized job site services, like material staging and kitting, or maybe our logistics specialist, who can help you identify efficiencies and ensure just-in-time delivery. So consider what one more thing you may need to optimize your bottom line and get to know us for that. Yep, Graybar does that.
Now, back to the Verizon Extra Innings Show.
The pitch. A swing and a drive to center field. That's hit well, and the ball goes over Merrill's head. Coming around third base, Arenado. He is going to score the tying run on a double by Jordan Walker. Merrill raced to the track, but Walker had enough lift on the ball to get it over his head and drive in his 26th run of the year. 1-1.
That was Jordan Walker's double, as you heard there in the second inning. Came off the bat at 109. Nice to see a little bit more of the driving of the ball for Jordan Walker. We're back in on the Extra Innings Show. It is presented by Graybar. Graybar, your distributor for electrical and datacom needs. And I want to let you hear a little bit of Jordan Walker as he talked to the media after the game and talked about kind of things that are going on with him and his approach.
You know, a lot of my approach in the cages approach, I'm trying to get during BP is to stay at the middle and just drive the ball through the middle. And when I'm doing that and when I have that approach, it helps me kind of stay on the ball, you know, middle end and then middle way. So I can judge based on that bat based on, you know, how well I stuck to my approach and my first at bat. So they did a great job there.
That approach to go up the middle, what kind of goes into looking into that and kind of seeing that's kind of a way to
yeah, just what I've been working on, you know, getting my weight towards the ball, not away from it. You know, and I think that, you know, when I get myself in a good position to hit, then it just helps me be able to drive that ball a little bit like easier instead of like pulling off the ball and trying to stay on it. You know, when my body's going away from it, my body's going to it. It just kind of naturally stays at the middle. So that's how, you know, kind of what I'm looking for in the little video review that I look at. You know, and everything like that.
You mentioned the video review. Do you feel like you're doing that more consistently, like as you go back and look at some of these, break it down?
Yeah, there's still some things I want to work on. Definitely, there's still some pitches that, you know, kind of fool me and I kind of pull away a little bit, but I think that's just part of the process. But I definitely think I'm bending in the right direction, for sure.
Jordan, obviously an emotional game, two teams, like you're chasing them, they're trying to get to where they want to go. A lot of stuff, a lot of fireworks.
Yeah,
but when you see Wilson get hit so many times,
I mean, I just see it as they don't know what to do with him, you know. I mean, he's crushing everything right now. And, I mean, just him getting on base and also the maturity, you know, he got hit in that last at-bat, just walked to first base. I mean, I honestly don't know what you're throwing, in all honesty. So, I think it's just the emotions are high. But, you know, I have nothing else to say on it, to be honest with you.
That's Jordan Walker after the game. They were asking him a little bit on Wilson Contreras, and obviously he didn't want to get into any motivation or things like that. Jordan Walker has really come along. And when you're talking about, you know, he came off the injured list after the All-Star break. It's been 9 games since the All-Star break, and he's hit in 7 of those games. And in 3 of those games, it's been multi-hit games for Jordan Walker. So he is starting to, I think, get a little more comfortable. And he talked there specifically about getting into the video room a little bit more and maybe analyzing a little bit more of what he is doing. And that has helped him out. To answer a couple of comments, Jeremy Hodge says, inconsistent is really killing this team. And I think that sums things up very well. I think that's the difference. Again, I said this earlier, that's the difference in the Cardinals and the top of the National League and the top of baseball is that, yes, are the Cardinals talented and do they have the ability to maybe run off some wins? Yes, but it's not consistent enough. They're not consistent in their lineup. They're not consistent, certainly in the rotation. And then ultimately the wins aren't coming at a consistent enough rate. And that is what's keeping this team now 2.5 games back in the wild card. Sam asks, why did Arenado swing 3-1 when they needed base runners in the 9th? I'm not going to argue with Nolan Arenado swinging on 3-1. I to be honest with you, I don't even know what he saw right there, what the pitch he saw, but he's got a chance to drive the ball at any point in time. I realize he's not the same Nolan Arenado, but I'm not going to question Arenado swinging on 3-1. With a runner on base, you got a chance maybe to drive somebody in as well. That is what it is. Sometimes it's going to work. Sometimes it's not. I get it more often than not right now. It's not working for Nolan Arenado. I mean, he crushed a ball in the 4th inning that died right at the wall. It was caught in center field. So, I'm not going to, I don't, like I said, I couldn't even tell you the pitch right now that he saw on that one because I wasn't paying enough attention. I wasn't analyzing it in that way in the 9th inning when he faced Suarez there. He's hit really well against San Diego in his career also. So, again, not something that I'm apt to question right there in the 9th. Yep, I know they need base runners, but more often than not, historically, he's probably going to get you a base runner there. What's on Deck is sponsored by Chesterfield Fence and Deck. The sign you have the very best, chesterfieldfence.com. Just want to make sure I get this in and let you know tomorrow the Cards will finish off this series with the Padres. 1:15 first pitch. It is a 12:20 pregame show here on KMOX and along the Cardinals radio network. Michael McGreevy will make the start for the Redbirds tomorrow. 2-1 with a 3.5 ERA at the big league level. Stephen Kolek is 3-5 with a 4.28 ERA. It'll be nice to see Michael McGreevy tomorrow after coming back and making 2 consecutive starts at the big league level. One of the things that Oliver Marmol has said a lot is it's not just having McGreevy here physically to make the start. It's having McGreevy at the big league level to game plan at the big league level, to go through what those 5 days look like between starts at the big league level, to break down his start with the big league staff, with the other pitchers that are looking at it, and then have a second start at the big league level. And I think that is a valid point that maybe we don't think about. Yeah, great experience to pitch at the big league level, to get a start at the bigs. But if you're going right back out to AAA, and then you go right back to your quote-unquote AAA life, that's not always going to be the most helpful. So to do it consistently and to learn how to do it at the major league level is what's ultimately going to pay dividends for Michael McGreevy. So here's start number 2 in a row. Let's see what that looks like for the right-hander tomorrow. Big thanks to the voice of the Cardinals, John Rooney, to Rick Horton and Mike Claiborne, Jim Jackson as well upstairs in the booth. Kyle Sixta helps out in the booth, but he's also responsible for all the post-game audio that you hear after games. Daniel Hinkamp's in the studio. He's been there all afternoon, keeping us on time and in line. Tomorrow, it's a 1:15 first pitch, 12:20 with the pregame show here on KMOX and the rest of the Cardinals radio network. And we'll have that for you as the Cardinals have a chance to win this series against the Padres before the Marlins come to town to start a series here at Busch. We'll talk to you tomorrow afternoon. I'm Joe Pott. Keep it here on your home of the Cardinals, 104.1 FM, KMOX.
Welcome to the Criminalia podcast. I'm Maria Tremarchi.
And I'm Holly Fry. Together, we invite you into the dark and winding corridors of historical true crime.
Each season, we explore a new theme, everything from poisoners and pirates to art thieves and snake oil products and those who made and sold them.
We uncover the stories and secrets of some of history's most compelling criminal figures, including